Hey, what's good? MAX0R here. In today's video, we're going to be watching Bloodborne. We're going to be looking at the Bloodborne review, Defeat Gods, and Doll Waifu Simulator. So let's go ahead and get the reaction going.
Spoilers. Bloodborne is a Lovecraftian horror RPG that no one understands by definition, where the player is free to attack hordes of human children at will and consume their innards. If that in-depth and engaging anti-baby gameplay appeals to you, keep listening because it gets worse. In this game, you play as John Bloodborne, a foreigner incapable of speech without the use of sign language, and stricken with Habsburg disease, comes to the ancient city of London.
Okay, if our main character is the one that's inbred and suffering, I don't even want to speak about the villagers, because if you know what I'm talking about, those guys are absolutely hideous. Maybe it's because they were cursed or something, but let's be honest, we were all not looking pretty.
Treatment for the sins of his cousins. In doing so, he will begin hallucinating talking dolls, spider people, and the great Journeying further, John Bloodborne becomes conscripted into the service of a gay elder god and the 60-year-old man he keeps as a pet, and is given the ultimate task of killing an invisible infant in order to cure his anemia. To accomplish said Herculean task, the player must journey through dark forests, terrifying nightmares, and the meth-ridden alleyways of a post-Brexit Britain, slaying monsters.
You know what? Maybe this is why we don't have Bloodborne 2, because the story, when you literally break down the lore, it is so out there. Like, it's more crazy than Dark Souls. Like, okay, Dark Souls does have some really out there lore, but Bloodborne just takes it up a notch, puts some gothic themes on, and it's 0 to 100 so quickly.
Exploring and tricking women into being impregnated by gods so you can consume the child. This game is an excellent realization of a Metroidvania with something new around every corner. A great action RPG which pits you against insurmountable odds and extreme challenges, and has a gripping story and lore about discovering the eldritch truth. So if you can, play it yourself, because I'm not going to hold back on the details. It's no secret that my reviews are entertainment first, so I don't suggest using me as genuine advice. However, most people can't play this game, ever, because you have to buy a $400 magical box sold by the wizard Sony in order to experience it, and even then you get to see it in an amazing 30 frames per second with no anti-aliasing. Put this game to PC, I beg of you. In fact, I can assume that a lot of people—
Though, dude, someone was like working on the project to, I think it was like port to Steam and make it 60 frames per second, and Sony heard about it and literally hit them with a cease and desist so quickly. Like, this guy was literally giving them like free press, and they were just like, no, we don't want to make our game, and we can't stand you making it. And didn't they recently go to like Nintendo for like, I don't know, some sort of port for like the Switch 2? Like, all love to the Switch and Nintendo, but yeah, you're gonna go to their hardware and not go to PCs. Okay, yeah, okay, you got me. I guess, you know, we just don't need good things in life.
This video will basically never play the game, but keep watching because I'm hilarious. And
yeah, I played it.
That, and I can give you the full, unfiltered, uncensored, unsubstantiated, and unsportsmanlike experience that is Bloodborne.
Not. Bro, I never thought I would see Persona. I would hear Persona in Bloodborne. I'm not gonna lie, it really does hit. Maybe that's more because of how good Persona is, but Bloodborne, the visuals make it so great. So, hey, perfect pairing I never thought about.
The gameplay is what makes this game great, and the easiest way to describe it is simple but complicated. On a simple level, your baby brain is responsible for only 2 tasks, dodging and hitting. And dodging in this game renders you temporarily invincible. Sounds easy, right? Wrong. Because every single enemy is adjusted to keep pace with you. Basic enemies are basically able to whoop your ass into fucking non-existence. Every encounter, therefore, is tense and engaging. When you kill someone, it's because you were faster and had more meth than they did. On a complicated level, you have a gun, and normally bullets hurt people, but in London, bullets are a suggestion, like the Geneva Convention. Here in England, it's all about the knife bins. Except when you shoot somebody mid-attack, you gain the mystical and arcane ability to plunge your fist through their ribcage like Mortal Kombat.
Well, like, dude, that was such a great mechanic, bro. The timing to be able to do this felt so euphoric, especially during like a boss battle. Oh my gosh, we need more of that in From Software games. You know what? Hey, From Software, I don't care if it doesn't make sense for the next Elden Ring. Give us guns. Come on. We're basically America. Like, come on. Like, help us out, please. I'm begging you. Oh, actually, yeah, yeah. Speaking of America, yeah, let's make a From Software game set in America. It doesn't have to, it can be the future, it can be the past. It's gonna sell money. It's the perfect setting just to make a bunch of crazy stuff happen. No one's gonna question you.
Out their heart, which is considered rude and a slight annoyance. This extends to behind them if you charge an attack, which sometimes causes you to reach up a pig's asshole and rip out the prostate like fruit by the foot. Side note, the most optimal farming route for currency in this game is called Murgo's pig fisting route. See, I changed the webpage. And in this route, you sneak up behind this guy and do him the dirty. Then entice these two swinular bastards to be mauled to death by members of Organization 13. Repeat 50 times. On a complicated level, every single weapon in the game has 2 different modes with 2 different movesets. And transforming between them gives you special attacks, in addition to running attacks, plunging attacks, R1, attacks, swinging attacks. On a theoretical physicist level, your character memorizes squiggly lines and fridge art created by gods for passive bonuses that work regardless of weaponry. My favorites are more money, and more money they stack. Finally, on a meta-theoretical chiropractic level, every weapon is customizable with different gem slots that give differing effects for your attacks. And there are different types that can literally change.
I don't remember doing all that. I just ran around, killed the first thing I saw and rinse and repeat and hope I won. Maybe this is why I never finished the game.
All of the stats of the weapon, like making a fucking spear do more damage based off of intelligence. There's definitely more and a lot of strategy in how you level up your character, but I assume that you know how to level up in a fucking video game. But with all this combat prowess, you may be wondering, MAX0R, who are these crusty abominations that you're fighting on screen? Well, to learn that much, we're going to have to delve into the lore. So buckle your britches, bitches, because this shit is wild. If I say something questionable, just accept it as fact. I can be trusted. 60 years ago, 20 rowdy college students took their education extremely seriously because they found woman Cthulhu. She was just in a portable toilet downstairs. Also, because they were bored, they beat to death a god of the sea with some bats, but that's a story for later. It turns out the entire world is ruled and created by a race of elder gods beyond human comprehension called the Great Ones. Figuring this out, they got Cthulhu's blood and were like, we can make a religion out of this. Because it turns out the blood can heal people, which is really good due to all the knife crime. So everyone starts drinking.
Oh, that's why you have the blood vials. That's actually a really smart way to incorporate your HP health. Oh, okay, okay. I'm already vibing with the lore. Like, I know about like the Great Ones and the whole point of like with the babies and stuff, because it was so out there and so wild that I had to figure out why this was in the story. But knowing how we got there, okay, that makes more sense now. Okay, I get it. I mean, I say I get it, but this is only like the sugar. Like, we still got to put a whole cake in the oven. So there's a lot more to come from this.
And they get the money to build 36 cathedrals, but it turns out eventually the blood turns you into a werewolf. So the church hires a guy named German to go fight the beasts with an organization known as the Hunters, but there's too many beasts, so he gives up. Now the knife crime is increased even more, and German sort of goes insane and creates a life-size doll of one of his students who is an 8-foot-tall Amazonian. He also canonically has sex with it. The moon god, for some reason, kind of takes notice of this and is like, alright, listen, I'm building a suicide squad. I will bring your waifu to laifu if you serve me for all time as my slave. German reasonably thinks that this is a great deal and is imprisoned in a dream. This is where you come in. See, the moon god assassinates baby gods for fun, but needs a hitman to go into the real world to do it since he's confined to the ninth dimension. So in addition to fighting all manner of giant beasts and uncovering dark secrets, the true aim of this game is to commit infanticide. There's enough bullshit here to fill tax legislation, so comment your own poorly summarized Bloodborne lore below. And for the rest of us non-shills, we have ample time to explain more of what makes this game great. Yes, you have.
No, wait, go back on the lore. I was so intrigued, but I was so like, what are you talking about? Oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah, we got old gods being like, you know what? I hate these new gods. I did remember German being just pretty base and being like, yeah, I like my doll. I'll do anything for my doll. I mean, hey, she was pretty cute, but at the same time, sir, you could just move away, find like a new girl. I know we always get stuck on that one girl, especially for high school or something, but chillax, all right? It ain't that deep.
I am talking about bosses before I talk about the levels. In most video games, bosses cap off areas, but in Bloodborne, areas are preambles to a dick flattening, and nothing will challenge your skill in quite the same way. Except for the goddamn Witches of Hemwick, who were placed into the game for disability access. You can probably tell that Bloodborne is a hard game. We don't even know if a games journalist can beat it. But it's hard in a fair way that tests your skills and reaction time, except for Lawrence, but I'll get back to Lawrence later. What sets this game's bosses apart is that the challenge makes it feel like you're a really small dude jabbing a toothpick into a building-sized deer demon. So yeah, I would be impressed if he killed that. But not only that, unlike Dark Souls, every single boss reacts meaningfully to how you attack them. Large beasts can have their bones cracked and their tendons wound into a slinky. Bone boys can be knocked over and have their marrow shaped. And human enemies will wince and recoil when they see your height difference. As well, every boss punishes you for cowardice and actively discourages backpedaling with their forward momentum, causing every fight to be an elaborate dance with a thrilling back and forth.
Yep,
Unless
that's
you're
so true.
Rom, who is the really hungry caterpillar if he had a legion of arachnid slaves who threw their heads underground like ostriches.
Ooh, that's kind of gross.
And while we're on the subject of bad bosses, this motherfucker, let me tell you something. The humanoid bosses in this game are paradoxically the most dangerous. But Mikolash is a psychological hazard that will hurt you personally. This boss literally feels like cut content because the fight centers around chasing him, and his direction depends on RNG, making him an actual speedrun killer. When you corner him, he uses one attack, and then you chase him again, where he gains the power to insta-kill you. God forbid you're hit by it, because that's 10 minutes gone. Here's a tip. Save up 10 poison knives and steal from your family if you must. Then wait until he jumps down this hole, poison him repeatedly, and watch him spaz the fuck out until death. You will thank me. But as a result of everyone who isn't Miko shit, conquering a boss in this game is absolutely rewarding.
Okay, I do like that about games, that it feels like scummy to exploit the games, but there's something that's really cool about it. Because think of like Elder Ring Oblivion. I've been seeing people play that game again, and so many people are so happy to see that Bethesda, oh my god, what the hell? They're so happy to see that Bethesda, oh, I really cannot say that word. Oh my gosh. You ever like hear a word so many times, and then as soon as you try to say it, you're just like, did I never know how to pronounce this?
that other games cannot match. It's only because the odds are stacked against you in ways that don't feel bullshit most of the time that conquering them is the main reason I play, and their fights are undoubtedly the best I've ever done at video games. But that isn't most of the time in the game. In fact, a lot of your time is spent exploring the areas, so let's get into that. Lesson 1 in area design. Where the fuck am I going? Exploration is the name of the game, except it's called Bloodborne. Only this time, you don't bring smallpox and kill 20 million people. We're looking at a solid 10 this time, because the main enemies in this game are British townspeople. It's how the developers made sure you didn't feel bad about killing them. The plague of beasts infecting London causes people's teeth to become beast-like, makes you aggressive at night, and slurs your speech. So it's up to you to stop them, as a hunter should. If you don't look up where to go next in this game, good fucking luck. People get lost all the time. Get used to it. This game doesn't do exploration like, oh look, there's loot in this hallway, my dopamine's gonna go crazy. That's baby shit. This is daddy's exploration, where you find a route back to a place you were in 10 hours ago. And I hope you weren't expecting a mini-map, or any map. Every single hallway is a rabbit hole of discovery, and your hand isn't held. Case in point, Cathedral Ward is a level, but feels like a hub area because it connects to fucking everything.
No, dude, there's so many times in Bloodborne that you're just like, am I going to a boss battle? Like, you don't know until you get there. That it's just like, I think this is the route. I'm just gonna take a guess and just go down that pathway.
Experimentation. Just look at the fucking map of this game. Everything overlaps. And yes, there is a level called Nightmare Lecture Hall, and no, it does not connect to the Altar of Despair, although you would think that. Fittingly, the Lecture Hall is the smallest area, and more fittingly, 90% of the combat is graduates throwing cum at you. The game also has 2 completely secret areas that you would not find without the internet. I would tell you how to enter, but I don't want to do calculus. And what you get at the end? Upper Cathedral Ward is legitimately a horror area in a game loved for its combat, because it's filled with enemies who act out my greatest fears. Stealing currency permanently gives me fucking chills every time I talk about
that's
it.
crazy.
Castle Canehurst is proof that From Software hates us all, since the best area in the entire game requires you to go to the Field of Corn in Ohio and trek down Waldo. But it's worth it to invade the house of that parasitic queen dwelling in her demented castle, so that she may feel the wrath of the proletariat. All we have to do is kill Prince Philip, who guards the way as an eternal lich. On top of this, there are numerous NPCs and NPC quest lines spread throughout the world, all with a series of interactions with each other depending depending on location and timing. For instance, you could direct nuns, prostitutes, and Prince Philip to a church run by a lonely black sludge, then perform enough blood transfusions to send the nun into a yandere rage. Or you could direct them to the nice woman who runs the clinic down the street who only wants to help and assist others. Then take a strange path through the forest and into her clinic to discover that she has been experimenting on all of them in order to create the Blue Man Group. And if you want, you can take the umbilical cord away from her schizophrenic ass and eat it. The sky's the limit in Bloodborne questlines. And you know what my favorite questline is? The one where you descend into literal hell, complete with eternal punishment, insanity, and femboy fishing, the scariest of them all. I'm of course talking about the DLC, the only DLC for this game. And if you play through Bloodborne, you have to play through the DLC. I'm not giving you a fucking choice. So to learn why, you should play the best expansion ever made since Spore Galactic Adventures.
Spore reference!
Come with me on this amazing journey to find the secrets of the Bloodborne, the old hunters. I want you to imagine hell. Now imagine hell written by H.P. Lovecraft. It would be filled with squids, immigrants, and air conditioning. This DLC has none of that except the squids. For you see, those college kids from the lore section of the video were built fucking different. They experimented on an entire village and possibly beat up a god of the sea so fucking bad that her consciousness in the 9th dimension died. We spent an entire game—
You know how crazy that is? These kids really went to a god and say, you know what? Nah. We are the gods now. Dude, people in for softwares are so crazy. It's always like the mortals that are the ones that have like the most wild crash outs, and then they end up causing the destruction of the world or like some city. I mean, that's kind of like a really good analysis of real life, of how people destroy stuff if you look back on history. But I don't want to get into reality that deep. I don't feel like getting sad.
Infant, and these guys somehow killed the MILF god. But anyways, in the process of this, it cursed them and all of the hunters to be doomed to a hell upon death, where they will hunt in a bloodthirsty rage without rest for all eternity, indistinguishable from a political subreddit. Case in point, this is Ludwig. He's the first boss of the DLC and has a reputation for causing refunds. Not because he's bad, but because he's too good for you. The first phase is as difficult for me as realizing that Golden Corral is not actually a real corral. But like every restaurant except Golden Corral, the rewards at the end are delicious because his second phase is even harder. Now, I'm not going to lie, this DLC has 4 bosses and 3 of the hardest bosses I have ever fought in any video game ever. So your ass will be clenched the entire time, and the fact that he's the 3rd hardest is fucking concerning. Some people tell me, MAX0R, your videos have gotten me through tough times because they made me laugh. But like this boss, you are the one who is truly overcoming these challenges, and I believe in your ability to beat both of them.
Nah, I'm not good.
Lightning round. The DLC has many such cases of amazing bosses, including Lady Maria, who is the basis for German's extremely creepy 8-foot-tall doll fetish, but we'll get back to that, and Orphan of Cause, who was born from the literal dead body.
Oh my gosh, dude, the Orphan? Okay, I never got that far into the game, obviously, to be able to play against it, but I'm so happy. I don't regret it. Seeing people play that game, oh my gosh, dude, the Orphan goes crazy. Like, there's no way that you can beat it if you just haven't, like, honed your skills at that point in the game. He is just literally built different, born different. I don't care what you say. This is a true in-game boss battle. Oh my gosh. If you don't know what I'm talking about, oh yeah, proceed to watch this rest of this video because you're in for some scares.
Of a god. If you enjoy the sensation of being beaten to death with a sharpened placenta, this is the fight for you. And as with everything that From Software makes, they threw in a boss that they didn't really finish and called it a day. I'm of course talking about Lawrence, which is a very mundane name for a fire monster locked in hell. Take my advice, don't fight Lawrence, you only lose a part of yourself, since this boss fights you by dropping off his own legs and then violently vomiting and shitting lava everywhere. I've always wanted my game about dynamic dodging and elaborate fencing to be reduced to shitty area denial like its Team Fortress 2. To wrap things up, the music of this game is pretty good, but the DLC music is fucking insane. I don't know what it is about Japanese composers being able to make better symphonies than the continent that invented them, but just take a listen. Holy shit, I'm alive right now. Have you ever thought, as I do, that—
Ooh, that was so good to the ears. Bro, that brings me back to the Game Awards. Every time they played the orchestra. Ugh, oh my gosh, maybe because I'm recording this early in the morning, but I really cannot say words. But no, when they bring in the okra, oh my gosh, have you ever had okra? I'm trying to compensate now by just changing the subject because, hey, I definitely can't say what I'm trying to say. Oh my lordy.
This game is just too good that you would really rather be playing a shittier version of the game, such as the engagement of the Chalice dungeons. I of course jest, they're fine probably, except for half of them, because Bloodborne has an optional system of infinite dungeon generation for all of those who wish to break free of the shackles of good level design. Let's talk about how, and more importantly, why. First of all, Bloodborne has a system of dungeons that everyone shares and dungeons that are random. For my footage, I played the shared dungeons so that you can be guaranteed the pain you witness on screen is mandatory. One of the biggest strengths of Bloodborne is the ability to have interesting and challenging enemy encounters gently rubbed with the blood-stained hands of Miyazaki. But I don't think I have to explain to you how randomizing almost every encounter in the game could be imbalanced. But fortunately, most enemies you encounter in the Chalice dungeons are new to spare British people your wrath, so you instead fight SCP-96. But why are we here? It turns out that the entire city of London was built on a Celtic burial ground, an ancient civilization called the Tumerians who discovered the healing powers of blood and then mysteriously disappeared. Wow, I wonder what happened. This is all cool in theory, but the reality is that most of the time you fight the same 4 enemies, and the first 3 dungeons can be replaced by Simon Says. My cat literally wouldn't notice.
Aww.
The Chalice dungeons are so forgotten that the developers use them to put joke enemies into the game. My favorite is the man who aggressively rolls at you stark naked wearing only his Nikes. The uniqueness also extends to the bosses, and they're actually pretty cool, like Tumerian Descendant, Watchdog, and the 3 overweight men. Do you remember that basic enemy from like 2 levels? He is the boss now. Rom, he is the boss again. The only thing stopping me from throwing myself into a wood chipper is the fact that Miglash isn't back. And if you're going to have replays, you probably want to make sure that they're actually good. In fact, the bosses are so fucking imbalanced that the Watchdog fight is primarily comprised of instant kill attacks. I beat Sekiro backwards on a keyboard, and this shit is too fucking much. Now, normally that would be all, but the dungeons go deeper. What we have discussed so far is merely the surface, and there is a much darker syndicate lying just below. These places you must never venture, for they are the save edit.
Okay, let's be honest. He is doing way too much at this point. If I have to deep dungeon crawl in a From Software game, I'm not doing it. I already know I'm setting myself up for failure, okay? I'm doing too much. I know I'm gonna get my ass beat.
Dungeons, whereby through wizardry the community are able to conjure up deep dark chasms and share them with the rest of the world. Of these secrets there are only 2 that I shall reveal to you, and the first is the Cum Dungeon. Yes, you heard that correctly and clearly. The Cum Dungeon is the name of the most optimal farming route ever conceived by the fucking cricket people who do this shit, whereby the player enters the chasm of place name and watches as a high-level boss yeets itself off a cliff. Murgo's pig fisting route can give you 10,000 echoes. This gives 83,000. And if you thought that
Oh my
sorcery
God.
was bad, it gets much worse. You can insert anything from the game files by save editing a Chalice dungeon. Anything. This includes cut and unfinished content from the game that the developers forgot to delete, like this doggo who attacks you with invisible lightning. Overall,
Bro,
the Chalice
that's
dungeons
super cool.
are bad. They're not actually very fun to play, and yet I love them. Everyone loves them because they allow us to further explore a long-dead game with the help of a passionate community. Now, before we sign off, I know what you're thinking. MAX0R, what about the multiplayer? That I would love to talk about with all the footage I have, but it's dead. If this game releases on PC, and it better, then I will talk about the multiplayer extensively. And finally, this game and this
He proceeds to never talk about the multiplayer ever again.
would not be complete if I didn't talk about the hunter's dream. After all the combat, the battles, and the difficulty of this game, it's nice to have a place to recharge, purchase items, upgrade weapons, and watch as it violently burns to the ground. This is where you'll find German slowly wasting away as his soul remains captive for an eternity, and his doll waifu that he sold his existence to be with. She talks to you, levels you up, offers you advice, and German says you're allowed to have sex with her. When I fell down and felt defeated, she was there to pick me up. When I emoted at her randomly, she pretended to be impressed, and she was there, graciously standing in the background of this one shot that I took of myself. She is our waifu now,
Yes.
and the game is perfect and complete because she is in it. Now excuse me as I engage in the
Come on, let's be honest. We all know that Bloodborne deep down is just a waifu simulator.
Lore material. Should you get the game? Yes, absolutely, I am biased. In fact, you should physically enter Sony's headquarters and demand that it be ported to PC. I will be right there with you. Tasers will not stop me. I would like to thank the corrupt hackers and politicians funneling money into this channel directly from the taxpayer. If you would like to contribute your funds accrued through extensive federal government corruption, you can head to my Patreon to learn more. I would also like to thank the kind denizens of the Mythbusters Smut Discord who sent me half the memes in this video. And as always, thank you for watching.
Aww, thank you. This was a really great video. I always do love going back into the world of Bloodborne and just seeing all the things that I loved as a child. Even whenever I didn't beat the game, I love watching like old streamers play it, like PewDiePie, Afro, Senju. Like, it was really good just to watch those guys have so much fun and just live out the suffering that I couldn't put myself through. But hey, that's just me. That's just my thought points. What do you like about the game? Let me know down below. Well, it's been your boy August Shiro. Hope you have a good one. Make good choices, and I see you next time.